All right, so Howie Roseman was on the radio earlier today and was asked about Jalen Hurts, and he said he can play and he can win. Then he was asked if he'd make the Jalen Hurts pick again. And Roseman said, quote, "We loved Carson, but we played 4 playoff games and we needed our backup in every one." I mean, look, you think that might be a shot, and it's not. It isn't. Carson Wentz, we've talked about this for years. He's an injury-prone quarterback. And I don't want to hear this, well, he's always trying to extend the play. No, this was the knock on Wentz, right? I mean, listen, here, if I'm not going to sit here and crush Carson Wentz, but he was never out there. And if you're holding on to the ball too long, you're making restless plays at times, you're not knowing when to cut the losses. I think he's injury prone. I've felt he was always an injury-prone quarterback, okay? Now, again, it's unfortunate, but here's the problem. You're getting hurt every year in 4 straight years, and in college, if you're not injury-prone, well, what do you call it? You know, pretty much he was injured 3 out of 5 regular seasons. It's still injury-prone. And, again, it's a fair point. I don't believe for one moment that it's a dig that Roseman was taking. I think it was just like, look, you know, if we're going to factor everything in, and remember, he was arguably the best quarterback in the NFL in 2017. He doesn't tear up his knee on the road against the Rams. Well, he probably was going to win MVP. Now, here's the flip side of that. Are we going to sit here then and say with utter confidence that if that was the case, then Carson Wentz would have led the Eagles into the NFC Championship, let alone the Super Bowl, where they would defeat the New England Patriots? I don't know. I don't. You know, they had that ugly win against the Giants. They clinched a first-round bye. They had to win over the Raiders where Foles like, and then they got home field advantage. Tough game against the Falcons. They held on defensively late. Remember, they kept going to Jones. And then divisional round, they basically routed the Vikings in the NFC Championship. I mean, that game was never close. And Wentz had an outstanding campaign. He had a wonderful season. But you looked at him as he got hurt. And then what happens the following year? Again, they get back to the playoffs. It's not Nick Foles. I'm sorry, it's not Carson Wentz. It's Nick Foles. Carson Wentz gets hurt. So, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said. There's something to be said about that. And I don't think this is a shot. I don't. The irony is right now he's scheduled where everyone thought he was going to be out for 3 months. He's scheduled to start. He's on pace to start in the Colts opener against Seattle. And by the way, that line's still sitting Seattle at 3. So you have to be available. You have to be available in the NFL. You can't be an injury-prone guy. You can't miss games, and you certainly can't have the backup come in every single solitary season and lead the team. Carson Wentz played in 16 games twice in his career. He missed 3 games in 2017. He missed 5 games in 2018, and then he played, obviously, in 12 games last year where, to be fair, he should have been benched earlier. He should have been benched after that tie against Cincinnati. He had a great year in 2017. 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. Look, they go 13-3, 14-2. He's MVP, man. He's MVP. But I think what Roseman was basically deflecting a little bit, and I think it was more or less, you know what, Jalen Hurts is our guy right now. By saying, hey, yeah. You know, he went on to say, it's too important of a position not to have that. I think that just thinking about where we were at the moment, and I think it was the right thing to do. It's a hard decision, but it was the right thing to do. San Francisco did the same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. They drafted Trey Lance. I mean, so if you really boil it down, the Eagles were in the same place the 49ers were with Wentz and Hurts. There is going to be a ton of scrutiny and pressure on this kid this year. And here's the thing I wanted to mention about Watson. There's been all this speculation that the Eagles have had interest in Deshaun Watson, right? Everyone was talking about several teams. Deshaun Watson's definitely going to go to Miami. The Eagles are interested. Denver's looking at him. Here you go. Denver was also looking at Rodgers. Here you go. But again, amidst all these allegations of sexual misconduct made by more than 20 women, you kind of take your foot off the gas here and you back off a little bit. And right now, Philly's no longer a, quote, finalist to land Watson, which basically gives Hurts, it opens up the door for Jalen Hurts to have a legitimate and fair shot to try to prove he can replace Carson Wentz as a franchise quarterback. I'm excited to see what this kid can do. I don't think he's the long-term answer, though. I just don't. I really don't. Guts and guile can only take you so far in the NFL. You can't win too many championships on that. You have to have the skill set. And Watson isn't playing Sunday. So if you're looking right now at some of these lines and trying to figure out what the heck you're going to do, I've maintained this, and I told you guys this. Jacksonville on the road with Trevor Lawrence, on the road with a rookie quarterback, is favored over the Texans. That is telling you the sharps, the books, the pub, everyone thinks the Texans are going to flat out stink this year. And I would play that under because I think they're going to be a horrible team. I think what they have going on down there is an extremely toxic environment. I do. I think Taylor is put in a bad spot here. This is a journeyman quarterback. He's going to suit up for his 15 and 8 years. And I'm sure he's a veteran. He's focused on the task in hand. But you got Jacksonville, Cleveland, the Panthers, the Bills, the Patriots. They're staring down the barrel of an 0-4, 0-5 start. And it could get very ugly down there in Houston. Very ugly. Let me get to some of these tweets regarding Roseman's comments. Let me see here. Chris on Twitter chimes in. Q, I don't really think you can call a quarterback injury prone. You mentioned his MVP stature in 2017. I think he would be a tough luck, and some hard breaks have gone Carson's way. I wouldn't call him injury prone, though. It's just a label, right? That's all. It's just a label. Like, don't get too bent out of shape over it. It just is what it is. Kel chimes in on Twitter. Q, I think Roseman's correct about Carson Wentz's lack of playoff experience, but he also paid the player early when that was the case. Yeah, I know what you're saying there. I totally get what you're saying. So, again, this is why some will not. Okay, are you asking me if it's Howie deflecting to some extent? Yeah, I think it is, but I do think there's some. I think there's some legitimacy to what he's saying. Will 6 on Twitter. Q, loving the show as always, but I got to be honest with you. I totally disagree. This is why I'm actually not letting Howie Roseman off the hook with those comments. Keep deflecting the blame, but he was the one who gave Carson Wentz that contract. Correct me if I'm wrong. If the Eagles and Roseman weren't 100% sure about Carson, he shouldn't have given the contract until after his rookie deal was up. Well, again, agree. And I made a stink about it as well. I was actually shocked and perplexed. You know, you're paying a quarterback for what he's done or what you think he will do. There's a difference. There is a major difference. That's the NFL. Look at some of these contracts. You know, Josh Allen, look at the progressions from year 1 to 2 to 3. Now he's a bona fide top 2-3 quarterback in the NFL. He's getting paid like it. Now he's got to get over that last hurdle. Beat Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. Get to the Super Bowl. Lead the Bills to a Super Bowl win. Troy Aikman a couple years ago said you can't teach accuracy. Well, guess what? Josh Allen has shown you he can be as accurate as accurate in the NFL, and he can lead, and he's winning ball games. That's all that matters. That's all that matters come Sunday. Win the games. And if you think about it, Nick Foles took them on the run in the playoffs. They got back to the playoffs, the double doink game. You could have argued they were going down. They were getting ready to take the lead, if memory serves me correct, against the Saints. And I believe the ball was off of Alshon Jeffrey's hands, which went in for a pick. I mean, that was a 20-14 game, was it not? That was 17-14, and that's when I believe they were driving, and then ultimately the Saints kicked the field goal to make it 20-14, which is crazy because the Saints, I believe, also they were favored by 9 in that game. But nonetheless, Foles was quarterback. Seattle, Clowney comes in. Okay, tough break, and then you got to go to McCown. So he missed another playoff game to Carson Wentz. And that's kind of always going to be how he's perceived. Couldn't stay healthy, couldn't get the job done, couldn't come up clutch. Maybe it's a different tune, it's a different story. Maybe he changes that narrative in Indianapolis. Because, folks, if he struggles this year, I mean, I don't know how in the world you can then sit there and say this guy's going to last in the NFL. I don't know how a quarterback goes from being so good and then just falling off the map. Mental or not, got to straighten it out. All right, 4:45. I want to come back on the other side. We'll continue talking a little NFL. I also want to get into a little money management as well.
Dr. Charles McCabe is on a mission.